So I want to share. Is it sharing? All right, awesome. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome, perfect. All right, and finally narrowing down how to use video conferencing tools. You know, it's taken us like months to master it. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? All that good stuff. But thank you once again for coming out tonight, being part of this second virtual call for Pi District. Yes, my name is Zuri Hunter, and I'm going to present to you one of my talks that I did in January, foresee or not foresee. So this is a question that I had asked myself in January when I was trying to come up with a topic in Python. I'm not a huge Python enthusiast. I actually started off in Ruby. So I was trying to figure out what would be something that I'll be super passionate about, but with a sprinkle of Python in it. So this was like my journey into the trials and tribulations of understanding machine learning and like image classification. Just like officially diving into the world and whatnot. For a quick background on myself, I started learning to code around 2013, 2014. And I started off with Ruby, then graduated to JavaScript, and then graduated to a whole bunch of other languages based off my little job. I'm currently working at Black Cape, and we are awesome. We also focus on machine learning and providing software engineering solutions for our government clients. But nevertheless, let's dive into this presentation. So, story time. So this happened on Sunday night. I was styling my hair. I was using flexi rods, and I was trying to get this big hair look like I always do, but with new method. And so as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about what to do for this particular talk. So the thoughts are going through my head like, God dang it, wash day is coming soon after I finish doing this big hairstyle. And that means that I'm going to have to spend the entire day washing and styling my hair. And then I was thinking about why do I have to use so much hair products to keep moisture in? What is my hair type? And then boom, crap, I have this presentation to think of. So with me thinking of like all these things in the process of like my hair and in this presentation, I had this wonderful idea that, oh, wait, I can try to learn machine learning and image classification and use it to detect hair types. So if those of you don't know, hair types is basically a way of like how we classify how straight our hair is or how curly our hair is. So people who are type 1, they naturally have straight hair or fine hair. And then 2, it's like wavy hair. 3, it's curly. And 4, it's kinky. And then you have the grades breaking down by A, B, C. So hopefully this diagram gives like a clear view of like what that exactly looks like. And the reason why we would want to know this for our hair is because certain hair types require certain types of maintenance. So people who fall under the 4 type category will require to use more conditioner than someone who would be in type 1. So this all depends on your hair. So for me, in my case, I fall in between 4A and 4B. So that's the ladies over in the bottom left right-hand corner as I look at my screen. But that would be my type. So I would have to come across products that is best for that. But in some cases, not many people know what their hair type is. So that's where the idea of using machine learning to classify your type through there. So now that we know what hair types are, here's how I thought I was going to go down this process. Now, I would like to say, once again, that I am a beginner and looking to machine learning. So a lot of these concepts, and still up to this day, I'm still trying to understand or grasp. So please bear with me if I make some boo-boos here and there, but this is just like, you know, my process of like how I was diving into this. You would consider me the baby Yoda in this process. I'm learning. But essentially, what I went down the route of was I wanted to get all of my data from the social media overlords. So Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, mainly because there are millions of people that post images on a daily basis and they provide hashtags. So it makes it a lot easier for us to say like, oh, this is a picture of someone with greasy hair. Like normally people like add labels to these here for us, so it would be a lot easier. So I was going to go with that route. And then I was going to have like the machine learning magic model. So notice the wand in the center, like magic. I have no idea what's going on in this process. This is when I was like learning. And then boom, my computer becomes smart and is able to determine which hair is a 4C type or a 1A type and all that good stuff. So easy said than done. So first things first, Facebook and Instagram made it very hard for us to pull data from users. So we can thank Cambridge Analytics for that. I just recently saw the documentary on Netflix literally today, and it made my blood boil a little bit. And then two, Twitter required me to write a couple lines of code that I did not want to do. Mind you, I was doing all this code at like 2 in the morning. So it was essentially me being lazy. It was a basic conditional statement that I didn't want to write, but nevertheless. And then three, I wasn't clear on the type of model classification system I was supposed to use, but I knew for a fact that I needed to get the data. So I ended up going with Google. Thank you, Google. And someone within the Python community created this lovely library called Google Image Download. And this is the script that I use to get my images. Ooh, lovely typo. So what I did was I just put in the keywords of like 2C hair or 4C hair as a starter, and then had a limit of like downloading 100 images and storing it in a directory. So this was pretty straightforward, and I thought I was on a good go until when I looked at the images I downloaded, I had several things wrong with it. I had corrupted images downloaded. I had images that wasn't exactly 4C hair. Like it was like, I don't know, some hair product. And I was just like, this is not what I was looking for, but cool. And then I also had images that were different resolutions. So essentially, I hope everyone's seeing the trend here. I'm having a data problem as I'm trying to build this machine learning model for image hair classification. So not only that, I had a data to-do list to do. So I had to remove the corrupt images. I had to store at least 100 plus images because I think I need to have a whole bunch of data just so my model can work. And then I had to resize the images and convert these images by their file name and their labels into a CSV type file. So this is happening at 3 o'clock in the morning as I'm putting together this like presentation in January. And this took over 50% of my time. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. So here's the script that I did to clean up the data. Basically, it just took all the images I had downloaded, resized them to a 1280 resolution, and then I stored them in a new directory. And at the same time, I created a CSV file with the image file name and its label. So I look back at these images, and this was my result. I was a little bit heartbroken. This was probably at 6 in the morning when this happened. And it made me think about this group. I don't know this band. I just remember seeing it on like commercials and stuff like that. So it's like before my time. But at this point, I was just like, I need to move away from the data part and start building this model. So I checked it up to the coding gods and was like, all right, maybe these blue faces that I created will work out in my favor. So I went with that and I move on to the next big part, trying to build out the model. And yeah, so this was the part that was like really, really interesting because it was completely new to me. So I had no idea what I was doing, and I did what a good portion of programmers do, go on Stack Overflow and copy pasta with a couple of modifications to it. But essentially, this was my thought process of like what I was supposed to do for doing this image classification. So I was supposed to load these images using Keras. I was supposed to get the vectors for both the images and its labels. And then I was supposed to create a validation set for it to train against. And then from there, define the model structure that I'm supposed to use, and then train that model, and then take the test data and put that test data through my model to predict the results. So that's what I was getting from like my high level understanding of like how this process was supposed to work. So that's where I showed the code for that. So I use Keras. Yeah, I'm like looking this way because it's like a lot bigger on my screen, but essentially go through the folder that I had all my images, convert those images into an array, vector array, and then pull the labels for them, and then like create the validation set. So this is with me like kind of half understanding of like what was going on. And then afterwards, I took the model and put all that information through there, and I compiled it, and then I trained it accordingly. And then it was great if I had line numbers. And then that's when, towards the end, I decided to start testing the data from like a completely new directory. I just randomly downloaded stuff from I didn't use the script. I just like Google and download things, download the images, so I can have like a random prediction set right there. And then I use this to predict. So this is the whole model here to predict what image will be detected on, like, is this a hair or this is something completely different. So after running this, and this was probably like 7 o'clock in the morning, I thought I was onto something and I thought this was going to work. So I was presented with this. Processing, load everything. But if you go towards that little bottom corner, let me zoom in a bit. I got an array of ones. So this means that my computer thought everything was 4C hair type. My computer was dumb, essentially. And I was at my wit's end and I was a little bit tired and I cried. So this comb here was one of the test images that I took. So I know for a fact that it was going to fail it. And it thought this was 4C hair type. So what I learned was that I need to stop procrastinating in 2020. And, since we have this, pandemic and we're quarantined, I have all of the time in the world outside of work to really start honing in on this project. Also learned that Python is okay. Even though it took me a minute to spin up certain things, there were some hiccups that I knew I would have come across if I was using Ruby. Data wrangling is very important. So I don't know if the blue images that I had when I was resizing had an impact on my model, but then I later find out that I also wasn't training my model based off of another model. So basically my computer, like the model I had, all I knew about was the 4C images, but I didn't know about anything else. So of course, everything was going to come back and say, like, yeah, this is a 4C hair type image. So I was told that I should have went down the route of using ImageNet's data set and then build off of there. And the technique I should have been using was feature extraction, which requires me to remove like the last layer in the model and then train it against my 4C images. And I was supposed to use like, I think, linear regression to determine like, okay, is this 4C here or is this not? So this is still a introduction for like machine learning to me, but I know for a fact that the next steps for me is if everyone did a really quick job of going through my code, but if anyone saw some things, they would see like, oh, she hard coded a lot of stuff. So the things that I want to go back and do is take the code smells out and not hard code things, as well as use ImageNet as the data set to build off of. And then on top of that, I also had some help from somebody in the midst of after the presentation I did that that I actually was only training it on one hair type. I didn't train it on the other hair type. So that's what I did wrong. But nevertheless, hopefully the next time, probably 2 months from now, Vic and Aru, I'll do another update on like 4C or not 4C. I can finally see that I have 4C hair type working. But here were the resources and shout outs. I use these two links mainly to understand how to do this. Also like to thank my friend Byron, who gave me some guidance on what I was supposed to be doing. And I like to thank my mother because in the midst of me trying to code at this late at night, I definitely was like messaging her and she was like giving me hope as I tried to power through the code and get everything to work. But yeah, I hope this was like everyone could learn from my mistakes of like diving into machine learning and image classification, but also like give some people ideas of like, oh, maybe I should also look into, very things that you didn't think you would want to like do image classification on, because I'm not sure if many people will want to do image classification on like determining like hair types. But yeah, thank you for your presentation and follow me on Twitter. Oh, how do I stop sharing?